This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, it is 6:01. I will now call to order the January meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission. This meeting is being recorded. This meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission will be conducted in person and simultaneously via remote participation online to the greatest extent possible. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on the City of Easthampton website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Should an interruption occur in which the online meeting ends abruptly, both the in-person and online meetings will not be restarted, and all agenda items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting. Cassie, are there other administrative items you need to go over?
Yep, the next scheduled meeting is February 12th, so if one of those technical difficulties does occur, that's when the next meeting is going to be. If folks are attending online, you can use the raise hand function to indicate that you want to make a comment when the chair opens the floor to public comments, and that will indicate to me that you want to do that. Every other capability has been turned off for now, but you'll get those abilities once you're addressed by the chair. And then please don't utilize the chat function unless you have to communicate with me, the agent, because it's not private and it will be generated into your transcript at the end of the meeting. And that's it for me.
All right, are there any public concerns, non-agenda items?
I haven't received any. I don't know if the person online is here for something that's not on the agenda. You can use the raise hand function if that's the case. Hearing
and seeing none, we'll move on. We have no public hearings tonight, so we'll skip to requests for certificates of compliance. The first is City of Easthampton, Mass DEP file number 151-302 for pump house demolition activities adjacent to Lower Mill Pond. Map 136, lots 97, 98, and 99.
Yeah, and also we have folks here for which item is it? The 8.
I think you said you're waiting for someone.
Yeah, if you're still, maybe we'll do this first one and see.
Sure, but he's right there, Doug Claxton.
Let's go through the CFCs and then see what.
Oh, okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, he's online.
I guess it's up to you guys if you want to do the first one and then go to them, or do it now, or.
Yeah, but since we just announced it, let's, yep. Okay, so certificate of compliance. So this is for the pump house demolition. And so the work happened like a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 2019.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, as far as I understand it, the only outstanding thing for the certificate of compliance is a request for as-built plans. That was kind of like a boilerplate condition that was included in pretty much all of our orders of conditions, but they didn't get them. It was a city project, and not really sure why or what the circumstances were, but my understanding is that they don't have the funds to get it now. But the demolition did happen, and that like kind of work to create like this kind of pad and cover up where that was, and now it's like a platform that people can like walk down to and fish at, is there. I wasn't able to do a site visit in advance of this meeting. And I guess the question also that I have is, would the commission want to wait to see into the spring, like just how things have stabilized? Because the only other piece would be that slope down to the area.
It was stable last time, but I mean, that was many rainstorms ago.
Yeah. Sorry, here's the file. I included a picture. The most recent picture I had was from 2020. So I've included that in there, but it's really up to you guys what you want to do.
We looked at this in the field multiple times post completion.
I thought so, yes.
But not since we've had some of these crazy rainstorms.
Right. Yeah.
And it was stable and it was fine at that point.
Yeah.
We have a request in front of us now.
Yep, for certificate of compliance. Yeah.
And Cassie, do we have anything in lieu of as-built? Do we have something signed by the city engineer? Do we have anything? What is?
No, but I could ask for that. Maybe if that would be something.
That says everything's completed.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in communication also with the procurement officer was kind of, for whatever reason, was like leading this project. And my understanding from him is that the project is completed as they requested, but I can get like something a little more formal, maybe the next meeting, and that could be helpful, and something from the city engineer.
There wasn't a stormwater permit on this, right? It was just, NOI,
Yeah, that's my understanding.
because it was just demo, there was nothing new,
Mhm.
not subject to, yeah, okay. I'm looking for ongoing conditions. Do you have that list already?
That should be at the end there, like probably the last page almost, and I can pull it up here on the computer. Actually, I'm gonna stop sharing this. Let's see.
I still remember the plan list was the big, confusion with that restoration anyways, something related to restoration.
Oh,
And then something about water control, but that's all like, like immediate post-construction and during construction stuff, not really like long-term project or concern.
So we were supposed to have a letter from a qualified environmental professional certifying compliance of the property with the order. Do we have that?
no. And maybe that's something the city engineer could provide. That would make sense.
Potentially.
Maybe.
Okay, I'll ask him about it.
And the as-built plan is missing. The plan is supposed to include wetland resource area boundaries, locations and elevations of all stormwater management conveyances, structures and best management designs. That's irrelevant here. Distances from any structures constructed under this order to wetland resource areas, that's not really applicable. A line delineating the limit of work. Wetland resource replication, which restoration and or enhancement areas. So we can look, there may have been a restoration area and then post-construction photographs. So, I mean, really, because of the nature of this project, I think that's something that the city engineer could probably put together and might be comfortable signing off on himself.
Cool.
And that would allow us to meet the criteria of the permit without them having to go back to the contractor.
Right.
Because it's really, nothing was built. So some notes regarding what was done, because there was a change in plan at some point, right? I forget exactly what it was. At some point they had to pivot to, and that's where they wound up with that slab, right? Or they had to fill something.
I think they were gonna fill the structure, but then couldn't figure out how to close some.
The concrete was gonna leak into the pond or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then they opted just to
Make it
put a slab on top, is my recollection. It's been a long time.
Sure.
Well, one of the things that I should have done and actually definitely can do is kind of what I did for 37 South recently is look back at all the minutes, because this is kind of before my time, I think, when they were doing the bulk of the work. And I can learn to see what happened along the way.
There's weekly notes in here. I don't know whose notes these are exactly, but this may tell us quite a bit, actually. The last notes are from November 29th of 2019. That is when they removed the demo company's equipment and trailer. Concrete forms were removed from the site and the slab on Monday, 11/25 of 19. Installation of the safety fence on the concrete slab and removal of the perimeter fence at the staging area were on 11/27. City staff performed a site visit on 11/27 and confirmed completion of pouring of the pad, sealing of the water intake pipes, removal of contractor's trailer and other equipment, installation of safety fence, removal of the work area perimeter fence, and resetting of straw wattles. It was observed that wood used for concrete framing was left at the top of the slope at the edge of parking lot. An email was sent to the contractor requesting this debris be removed. Final tasks at that point included site restoration, seeding, control blanket, final site inspection, and preparation of a punch list.
Can I see the other thing?
Which one?
Some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So is it for one? I feel like there was a revised drawing at some point,
I think so, yeah.
and then it doesn't look like it's in here at all.
We have photos of the slab and fencing. So we have some pictures of the the completed work.
Yeah, so this is the permit.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
an early date.
Yeah, this is the notice of intent, basically. I think we would just ask the city engineer if he could find an updated drawing that came up during the project, and then if he could give a statement indicating that, it was constructed in accordance with the drawing or something like that. Because there was a change, I think, compared to what's in here.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I believe that all of these field notes, I think, are Mike Owen's notes. It looks like.
That sounds familiar to me. I'm like remembering that now because I was here by November 2019. I think I started September 2019. So that sounds very familiar.
And this is dated, so this is what those notes were attached to. This is dated March 9th of 2020. I completed an inspection of the pump house site 10 to 14 days ago after the city received significant rainfall. Observed no evidence of soil movement, no rutting, or evidence of rainwater eroding into Lower Mill Pond. The straw wattles were in the same position as in fall 2019 when placed and appear to be functioning well. The remaining tasks remain: return grade of the slope to original condition, i.e. repair damage caused by tracked vehicles. I do remember that discussion. Apply loam and seed to all disturbed areas, install erosion control blanket to hold loam seed in place in order to establish vegetative cover, general site cleanup. Pursuant to the city's Conservation Commission permit, please provide the type of seed mix for use on the slope at your earliest convenience. That is the last thing I've seen.
Check the digital files just to see if maybe there was more.
Yeah, it'd be nice to confirm whether we have evidence that the seeding was finished appropriately.
Yeah, I'll have to look through these and see if I can get that. And maybe Mike Owens might have that anyways and just not have shared it along, so.
Right. It seems like he had pretty detailed notes on the project, so he may be the best resource for information on what happened after that. Anything revealing there? Should I keep looking through here?
No, I don't know. Just to not talk about filling anything, just talk about putting a slab over.
No.
So, I don't know, maybe these are updated, but I just don't remember.
This is April 2019, April 5th, and this, April 8th, 2019, so they go together.
Sure.
The original description of the project when work started said demolition of the pump house and removal of demolition debris to a legally permitted landfill, structure foundation to remain in a 4-inch concrete cap to be poured in place, and security fence installed on the 3 water sides of the remaining foundation. So that's the same end result, but I think there was something about how they were gonna pour it that did have to change because of what they found when they started. Okay.
I can check the minutes too.
Yeah, I think I've got, it's coming back. We're piecing it together slowly. This is the week of August 9th of 19. Water intake area, the demolition specification called for filling the water intake pit with flowable fill and pouring a 4-inch concrete cap over the remaining foundation footprint. After discussions with the contractor, this method was abandoned. The location of the water inlet pipe is unknown, and there were concerns regarding the discharge of flowable fill into Lower Mill Pond. As a result, the city provided the contractor with an alternative method for capping the water intake pits. A detail was provided on 8/9/2019. Let's see if you can find that in the records. Because presumably we must have seen and approved that detail.
Sure.
Although It's very good notes. On the 23rd, it says the city has not received a response regarding their alternative method for capping the water intake pits. Same note on 8:30. So it looks like on 9/4, the detail was provided on 9/4 of 2019. So that's where you should look in your records.
Cool, I can do that.
Hang on,
Oh.
maybe not. After review by the city, it's like a choose your own adventure. After review by the city, it was determined that the dimensions of the caps proposed do not include enough width to cover the intake pits. City staff responded on 9/10, providing additional guidance and requesting the contractor field verify all measurements. What happened next in this saga? No response by 9/10. No response by 9, that's the same 9/10. No response by 9/27. Okay. On 10/1/2019, the contractor responded and provided a revised number of panels and revised drawings. They were accepted by the city on 10/3, and they advised the contractor to proceed. So 10/1/19 should be where you would find the revised drawings to represent what should have been built.
Okay. I like scratched out like sometimes.
Sorry about that.
It's all good, it's all good.
There was a nor'easter shortly after that, with evidence of rutting of the slope due to the heavy rainfall in the area with the rubber track vehicle. So I think that's one of the things that in the end we were waiting for them to repair. And the site in late November, somewhere around October or November of 19, the decision was made to stabilize the site for the winter and come back for restoration in the spring. So that is where my notes end. We don't have evidence of completion of those activities in the spring of 2020, which could have been because the spring of 2020 was the spring of 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, I think, what we need to try and pick up the thread on and figure out where we're at.
Okay, yeah.
Find the drawings,
Yes.
see if the city engineer is comfortable issuing a statement or as-built to some extent, and figure out whether the restoration was completed.
Cool. And then if I can get like other evidence of it, I'll do a site visit either way, but it's probably just gonna be covered in snow is the thing. So that was the
Yeah.
last piece, is like, I'll show you the pictures that I get and what I find, and then maybe
Yeah.
at the next meeting, make a decision if it's sufficient, but it's up to you
Yeah.
guys, yeah.
I'll play our next meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
There's so much rain, yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah, maybe I'll try to time it.
This all came out here, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Do we need to continue this, or?
I don't know if you're supposed to do
I
that.
think we continue, yeah, we don't continue with COC.
Yeah.
So we will just revisit when we have more information.
Cool. So if the commission would consider taking item 8P out of agenda order.
Motion to take item 8P out of order.
All those in favor, Buttrick?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
August?
Aye.
Weeks?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Motion carries. So item 8P is Beacon Solar LLC, 50 Florence Road, Mass DEP file number 151314 for the large-scale solar project at map 115, lots 2 and 5.
I need to recuse myself from 8P vacancy.
Okay, thank you, Deb. The someone here to speak to this item?
I can speak to it.
Please introduce yourself for the record.
I'm Pete Warren, construction manager with Signal Energy, and we're building the project for Carval.
Okay. What's that?
Yeah, so maybe if I can, I'll start. So I sent the letter at the commission's request at the last meeting because I had found out that we didn't have a GEI Consultants was completing the reporting and had been my main point of contact for the kind of ongoing discussion we were having about that regrading issue because of the ponding water there. And I had discovered that they were no longer contracted, and when I reached out, I wasn't able to get a response yet about, is there a new person doing the reporting? What's the situation? And so we sent a letter. Ultimately, it's the responsibility of the property owner. So I sent a letter to the property owner, kind of explaining the situation and saying, like, please contact us and do all that. So the property owner, Matt Gall, was able to contact me pretty quickly, which was really great. And he kind of explained that he wasn't necessarily very familiar with the situation. They leased the land to the solar company. It sounds like it's Carval. And then Signal Energy is kind of executing the construction of the project. And then they were consulting to GEI to do the reporting, is who I was talking with primarily. But you were able to call me today, Pete Warren. We spoke on the phone, and he explained to me kind of the situation and how it came to be how it is right now, but also that there was a plan to, we made a plan, one, to do a site visit on the Wednesday, just to see the site and refamiliarize yourself with it. Also, they're having their engineer come out and look at it. Oh, it's you. Hi. They'll be looking at it and, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but go take a look at it and make a plan about what is the situation with the regrading. They also confirmed that they didn't do any of the work. That was a concern, did some of that work happen, was never approved by the commission. My understanding is that has not happened. So it should be, generally in a stable condition. So, and then the last piece is reestablishing the reporting. And it sounds like you guys are working to try to reestablish that with GEI, who was doing it before. And so all the major pieces, it sounds like we're on a path to get all of that right back on track again. And then the last piece is you guys are really, really interested in closing out the project. So I was going to be working with you to help you understand what is required left still to submit to the commission to actually come for a request for certificate of compliance in the future. But I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add, or otherwise the commission's questions, however you guys want to do it.
So what is the status? Who's doing reporting now?
So GEI is the consultant that we have as a third party. They're the engineer of record for the project. And I wasn't aware, as Cassie had pointed out, they had because this is extended beyond what the normal contract value was, there's been purchase orders basically to extend their time, which I wasn't really involved with prior to me taking over the last 6 or 8 weeks ago. So at the same time, he sent another extension because they had used up their current allocation, which I wasn't aware of. Then that needed to get basically just that needed to get processed on our end to continue work with him. So they'll maintain the reporting status from going forward. I'm hoping that our payment's taken care of this week, but either way, him and I had spoken, and he said that he'll resume operations with us taking care of the financial end. So
okay,
and then to the approval and the dewatering work that we have going on. The site is stable, so to order condition 28, there is site stability. There's been a few areas in between the site where some water coming down the main road, but not in actual construction operation areas. So that has been maintained up to now. There is one area that Cassie also pointed out near the entrance to the second site that has some runoff from where this pooling water is that runs off down to the wetlands area. So none of the work that we have proposed with GEI will be inside of that 100-foot buffer zone. But we do have to kind of alleviate the water issue that's kind of creating some issue going toward the 100-foot buffer area. But per the order conditions, 13 and 14 will once we get our final and Matt's here to help kind of assess what the final solution is going to be. It's probably a small area of cut and fill to alleviate the issue. But once we get that, whatever that solution is, we'll present it to you guys for the approval. And then, so I think the two items that were in question was order of condition 20, which is the reporting aspect, and then 28, which would be the stabilization and or issues within the 100-foot buffer zone, which we don't currently have any operations going on at all, and we haven't had any within that 100-foot zone. So once we get GEI back on contract, which should be within the next few days here, we should be. I think that should satisfy the letter or the note. It isn't technically a notice, is it? Or is it?
No, it's just like a formal letter from the commission.
Yeah.
Kind of like that's the first step, but an enforcement order was not yet issued by the commission since the last meeting.
So when was the last weekly report completed?
It would have been, I don't know what the exact date would have been, but it was the end of November or beginning of December. That would have been when his contract expired. So it's only been a month or so, maybe 2 months that we've been out of technical compliance.
I'm just trying to think we've had some major rainstorms since then for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last one we have in the Google Drive, 9/12.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
So the last one you guys were, that was,
September 12th.
I have to double check my emails, but that's probably right. I've been trying to keep them updated, but
okay.
yeah, so.
Because I know his contract, I don't know exactly when it expired, but he told me sometime around the end of November, beginning of December, that we needed to renew. So there might be 1 or 2 months in there that either didn't get lost in the shuffle, but I believe they were completed up through the end of November. So.
And what's the status of your NIPD's permit?
As far as what do you mean?
That also has requirements for reporting, which I assume you are out of compliance with the EPA as well?
Well, I mean, if it's in regard to GEI, then yeah, we haven't, whenever the last report he filed would have been for both NIPD's and for the stormwater, so.
Okay. And I'm not sure if Wednesday is going to be rain or snow, but there's definitely precipitation coming this week. Do we know that you'll have people back on board to do reporting for that if it looks like it's going to be more than a 1/4-inch rain event?
Yeah, I mean, we also, so our civil contractor I mean, he hasn't performed the work because we've been hoping that the water would kind of evaporate from that area, but it's a clay base underneath, so it really doesn't, it just has to, it won't percolate down through, it has to basically evaporate. So we haven't had a period where we've had enough dry weather to have that happen, so we really can't do the work, but
I'm concerned right now with the reporting.
yeah, as far as the reporting goes, we'll have Doug back on by end of this week, so he should be able to resume duties and take care of whatever reporting we need, so.
So Wednesday, it looks like we're likely going to have a more than 1/4-inch event, which is required to have a report filed within 24 hours.
So if that's the case, I'll fill the script report for that storm if we get above 1/4-inch.
It will have some type of recording.
Yeah.
And are one or both of you trained under the new requirements?
Yes.
For SWIP reporting?
Both of us.
Okay. Thoughts on what, if anything, to do about all the missing reporting?
If I could just add one point, I mean, I think we've been pretty diligent about, keeping up with BMPs and managing and maintaining any of the stormwater, the SWIP, areas throughout the site, even though we haven't been in construction there for almost 2 years. I don't think we've had anything more than some minor, issues. So I mean, I think, just wanted to point out that we have been pretty cooperative with you guys as far as trying to stay ahead of having any potential issues, so.
Well, it looks like, Cassie, you're doing a site visit on Wednesday?
Yes.
So you can sort of compare how it looks now versus how it looks in September, or whenever you did the last site visit.
Yeah.
And that might tell us something about what was missing in the reports we didn't get.
That was part of my plan for when we do the site visit, to look to see if there looked like there was any evidence of violations having
Right.
happened or breaches of that.
Who has been maintaining the erosion controls for
Our
the
civil
last several
contractor,
months? Sorry.
our
again.
civil contractor who's been employed since we started the project.
Okay, so there was no lapse in people checking on that. Are they out there weekly?
They are not out there weekly, but we're not required to be right now. But the last work that I thought was done, which was sometime in that September timeframe, I know there was some work that Cassie had asked to get done, which I thought had got done, but I'm not sure that it was minor. You wanted the bales changed because there was some vegetation growing out of a couple of them.
Yeah, that I thought had happened. That was,
Okay, I wasn't sure if that
was
had,
a while
I'm
back.
not sure
Yeah.
where that was in relation to where their last, the last remediation we did, which would have been, again, September, October, beginning of November timeframe. So I don't envision we haven't really had many problems there to begin with, so I don't envision much, although we did get that pretty good storm. Was it this month or last month? 5
yeah,
inches.
well, yeah.
Which one? I mean, probably like 7, so.
Yeah.
I'm curious about, you said that there was water going down into, migrating down into the buffer.
Well, it was more piling up at the silt fence near that buffer. And so we were just cleaning that out and refortifying that area, so.
And has that been done since September?
That had been done the last, it would have been when we were talking, which was either September or October.
That was quite a while ago and many rainstorms ago.
Yeah, but it's not like we have to fortify it after every rainstorm. It just needs to be cleared out of any sediment that kind of comes down in there. And now that everything's, been frozen, there's really no movement of anything in there, so.
I was in communication with GEI in November, so I think they've been out there in November. Obviously, yeah, there has been time, but yeah.
I think we're really, regardless of reports from September to December, our contract with GEI ended around December, beginning of December, so. So we're only talking about a month or two here where we have to, and I wasn't aware that they were not still on the contract. I wasn't involved in the initial discussions with how that contract worked for them, so.
So I guess I'm just a little confused about why we didn't get any reports between September and December, if you were in touch with.
We got them in November. Is that the last one that is in the file you said there was from November 12th?
September 12th.
Oh, no, we've definitely, I think, pretty confident we've gotten more since then. I just need to go and see if there might just be in the emails, and I
Haven't.
was,
I can do the same thing.
add them up there, but I'll double
I didn't
check.
listen until-
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Sorry.
Until about the middle of November, so I was, we had a project manager who was with us and then left, so there was a few balls may have gone up in the air and came down, nobody really picked them up, so. But that, I'm taking that over, and I was the one who built the project from the beginning, so I'm kind of looping back into the tail end of this, so there's a bit of a gray area for me, so.
All right, so Cassie, is your plan on Wednesday to do a thorough review of all the perimeters,
Yeah, pretty much. I was gonna,
erosion controls, as well as the issue of concern around the water pooling?
right. My plan was to go to all the crossing sites where there had been issues in the past, but most of them, when the last time I was talking to them, had been resolved. And so, but just double checking them. And then, but finishing with the ponding area, just to look at that of what might be the plan in the future. And to help provide some insight of what will be required for things that they might suggest at that time. But yeah, mostly checking those crossing areas would be my focus.
What did you say the next date is for your next meeting?
February 12th.
Okay, I hope that we would have, I would think we'll have our whatever proposed plan to do the dewatering by that point, so we can submit to you either prior to that meeting, or if we need to, visit this again, I can get whatever we need for the order condition approval to you guys or to Cassie, and then whatever you guys need from there. But I'm hoping that we have everything that gives us about a month or 3 weeks or so to get everything. And we already have the plan from GEI. We just have to get it approved and then submit it to you guys. So And I'd like to have Matt have a look at that to put in his 2 cents.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
No.
All right, I think we're all set.
Okay. And then I don't know, Doug, if you have anything that you want to add or you hear online, so.
Yeah, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for bumping this up in the agenda. And on behalf of the owner, we're definitely committed to getting this right. We weren't as aware as we should have been about the ongoing reporting requirements that Signal was tasked with. So apologies for the lapse, but we'll get through to the bottom of it. A couple questions I have is just the frequency of reporting. Is it weekly reports?
It's weekly and any quarter inch or greater rain event.
Okay. And then,
Or is it all the time?
Until the commission agrees that the site is stable.
So in winter, you can extend that to monthly, I think, is that what it is?
A project can petition to have the permanent reporting paused.
Let's take that one for Wednesday. We don't mind. We'll discuss the monthly report.
Okay, yeah, I can explain more about that.
Yeah, let's discuss it.
That makes sense.
okay. So it's basically weekly, or you can petition otherwise. And then the duration, it's until you guys feel the site's been stabilized. So which would likely coincide roughly with permit closeout. Is that correct?
Typically, yeah, I can't remember, are there ongoing restoration monitoring requirements here?
I'll have to double check, but I didn't have any like replication areas or anything like that, but so I don't think so. I'd be surprised, but I can double check.
And we'll need to get this final work done to get the as-built handed off to you guys. And once we have that, I think that should, satisfy I think that's really all that we have outstanding right now.
Okay.
So I guess, yeah, Cassie, it sounds like you'll be there Wednesday, and then you're going to inspect everything. You'll identify any additional elements that we need to address, and then just kind of help us make sure we have a clear path to closure on this as we move into spring. Is that just so we know all requirements?
Yeah, I'll be explaining that to you guys, what is needed for certificate of compliance. Yeah.
Okay.
And is to wrap this up in the spring?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we can get to that dewatering ponding issue, once we get that fixed, that's the only thing that's really holding this project up is just that piece. So if we have to, I don't know what, I can talk with Cassie about if we have to bring a pump truck in there and get it pumped into the truck and brought to someplace else, if that's an option, then I just want to get the water out of there so the guys can get the work done that needs to get done. So, I mean, it's one of those chicken or the egg. We can't get the work done because the water's there. Can't get rid of the water because we don't do the work. So it just keeps, and it hasn't let up in 8 months of rain. So, I mean, we haven't had as you guys know, the rain, I think we got 2 years worth of rain in 4 months. So
I'm asking just to make you aware that your permit expires July 7th.
I saw that.
Needs to, if you're gonna go
extended
beyond that, you need to request an extension a month in advance.
I read that, and I don't believe that we should extend beyond. I don't think we'll need the extension, but I did see that if we have to do it, it would be the July, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, one thing on the radar would be like seeding and restabilizing, right? And to what level do we need to achieve revegetation before we can close out?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do have full stabilization on the rest of the site. The only place that would be affected would be whatever work we do, and I don't know that will, we'll do whatever we can do to expedite to restabilize that, whatever the affected work areas. If we have to spray seed it or whatever we need to do, we'll
all right.
Yeah.
I think the fine details can be discussed offline and in the field in the days and weeks to come.
Okay. And so on the 12th, you're planning to present a plan for dewatering of that area and also the additional work that needs done. So I don't think we've approved that, right?
Well, I don't know what I mean, it is, I think it does need to be submitted to you guys. I don't know. I think you guys have to approve it, but, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would expect we would have that for you by the next meeting, so.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else, Cassie?
No, just a second, but no, that should be it for this item for now. And then I'll update you obviously next meeting with any findings from the site visit.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you for your time.
Would you excuse me?
You are, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll return to regular order. So request for certificates of compliance 5B. City of Easthampton, Mass DEP file number 151306 for maintenance activities, including spreading of gravel millings in potholed areas within the existing road footprint, and then the use of a grader to level the road to existing grades on River Street, map. No map,
Yeah.
lot, entire street.
Yeah.
And I think we can all surmise after the flooding of this summer that whatever millings and grading were done, probably there's no evidence of at this point. And as we've noted several times, this work would now be covered under the bundled order of conditions. So we're just asking the city to please close out this one.
Yep, and so I've been in communication with the city engineer for this too. I think it was the one who originally brought the notice of intent. It was before we had the bundled order. He was able to tell me that they did the work at the time and it was completed and they just never came to close it out. But again, with this item as well, there's a requirement for as-built, which they didn't really change anything. It's kind of just taking it back to where it was. And I think, again, that's just like a boilerplate thing that was understandably included, but don't know if the commission can kind of review those things again and see what's possible.
As-built not really a building, right?
This is more a process oriented,
Yeah.
order conditions rather than goal oriented order conditions.
Were there any post-construction photographs?
I asked Dan if he happened to get any. He said he's pretty sure he did not, unfortunately, but I can double check with him, but I would be surprised.
My inclination on this one, for the reasons I already noted, is to waive those requirements because
Sure.
we know that they completed the work back then. There's not going to be any evidence now that it was completed, and it would be covered under a different order going forward. There was no restoration required with this. I think we should just clear this out. I don't think there's anything barring us from doing that if we decide to, is there?
No, it's ultimately the commission's decision if they want to issue a certificate of compliance, even though whatever was in the order of conditions, that's your discretion.
Okay. Questions, discussion? Okay.
We're supposed to do a site visit though before we do it, like just.
Yeah, I can do that. If we want to just continue next meeting, I can do that. That's a good point.
I wouldn't wanna
Pictures
break the rules too much.
All right, so Cassie, you're gonna do a site visit?
Yeah.
Is the road even open these days?
That's a good question. I'll figure it out. I should be able to go. I mean, I don't know how much snow will be on it, but.
During this site visit, the commission observed that the road was 6 feet underwater.
Cassie had to take a boat.
There is a canoe that's stationed there.
I know, yeah.
That's what I checked.
All right, so Cassie's gonna conduct a site visit, perhaps provide us with some pictures of current conditions, and we will revisit this on February 12th.
Beautiful.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Take a minute.
No, actually, but, I can carry on to the next one.
Enforcement actions, any updates?
Yes, 37 South Street.
Whoa.
Yeah, so, I was able to read all the past minutes from when it started in 2013.
Okay,
Really substantively until 2016, and then it kind of dropped off, and we talked about it briefly with me. And like, what I provided was not helpful and like wasn't as complete as what I was able to find now. So,
okay.
basically the most helpful thing actually in that file is what's on top there was the final restoration plan that was required. And there's actually then, I'll pull it up on the screen here, a plan that goes with that. And it's narrowed down to, seems like the majority of the restoration items were completed. And some of it was just confirming like that they can do this kind of routine maintenance for mowing. So maybe I should go back and explain what even happened. So from what I read from the minutes and from these files is what happened was from the bike path, it was noticed that there was there was a building that seemed to have been built and there was clearing and maybe even some stockpiling of material and dirt. And it was confirmed that so in that report there, the commission required them to come to a meeting and hire a consultant to help like list out all what the violations were and then also list out what, recommended restoration they had associated with that. So actually, let me pull up this timeline that I created that will help explain it.
Is there an image in here somewhere that explains, here we go, areas 1, 2, 3?
Yes, should be right there yeah, at that in there. So yeah, there was an original one and it was revised, but the plan stayed the same. So that should be the most accurate one. But let's see here. There's land alteration within the 200-foot riverfront area to Wilton Brook, and then also within the 100-foot buffer zone. And going down here.
Where's Wilton Brook on here? Oh, thank you.
Yeah. It enters in, and then there's a kind of dam to create this pond, and then it carries on. And a big part of it was that he was explaining he needs to still have access to maintain the dam so that it doesn't like fail in the future. And have some kind of routine maintenance for that. So, okay. So area 1, it's west of Wilton Brook. It's the outer 200-foot riverfront area and partially within the 100-foot buffer zone is the areas that were impacted. It's a open field that was recently cleared of small brush and graded and seeded and is currently stabilized with grass. It also had stockpiles of debris, gravel drives and gravel driveway and gravel storage and several small trees. The owner claims that area was cleared since 1972 and the recent work was part of maintenance. He says that he would do it periodically and that Ariel supported that claim. Then the proposed mitigation was they claimed that the work would be exempt if an ANRAD had previously been filed and that it meets the requirements of 310 CMR 10.02, Section 2, Section B, Section 2. The slope is less than 15%, so it's not, and also it's not priority habitat.
Hang on, go back. What are they referencing?
So this was, yeah, this was all, it wasn't an ag exemption. It was more, I think it was one of the, Section 2B2 is all the kind of random little minor activities.
So which one are they claiming?
They're claiming 10.02, Section 2. And these are things, this part actually was already settled. The commission kind of went through and reviewed all these things and then settled on a final restoration plan.
Okay. I'm just curious, 2B2,
No, yeah. 2B22. And hopefully that goes down further, maybe.
There should be a letter in there.
Right. See if maybe, well, I can go back and see if maybe these are my notes of it, just kind of like really quickly summarizing, but the earlier iteration of the restoration plan might have it better. I might have just missed it.
Carry on.
Okay. I guess, yeah, let me keep going. So the slope there in this area 1 is less than 15%. It's not priority habitat. It's not a border to an outstanding resource water, and there was no alteration within 50 feet of the BVW. The impervious area is still less than 50% and no stormwater alterations were made. And based on that, their request was that no mitigation be required. And that was for the 100 buffer zone. And then for the 200-foot riverfront area, they also claim that the work is grandfathered due to previous description of maintenance. And they cite 310 CMR 10.586A. And the commission's response to that was for there to be for area 1, no further land disturbance, no excavation, tilling, or stockpiling, but the lawn area can be mowed and maintained as a field. That was the finding that the commission made back in 2013. And let's see. And then for area 2, they found that this is the area immediately north of the pond. It was recently cleared, graded, seeded, and is currently stabilized by grass. They're located within the 100-foot buffer zone to the pond / BVW and within the 200-foot riverfront area of Wilton Brook. He said the pond originally was for swimming, and it used to be a sand bottom with shores and created by damming the brook before the owner bought the property in 1972. The north end of the brook has an earthen dam with a drop inlet / outlet structure and a culvert on the side to control water level, and as an emergency flow. And it has an emergency flow to a dry culvert to the west of the dam. The gravel road to the existing home goes over the dam, and the owner's claim clearing to the south slope of the dam was to maintain access to the outlet / overflow spillway and prevent growth of woody vegetation on the dam. So their proposed mitigation was none. They claimed they would qualify under 310 CMR 10.533I as a limited project. While the ANRAD NOI should have been obtained, they request the commission consider that maintenance will always be an ongoing condition with no reasonable alternative. The commission's finding was, let's see, they required the submittal of a wetland restoration plan for the BVW that were removed along the water's edge. And I don't know if it's supposed to be BVW there, but anyways, they did require a restoration for this area. Darnold, who created the first document, was to provide an impact, it must be BVW, was to provide an intact area to BVW from the clearing of the 10-foot span along the water's edge, and then propose restoration. Also required to submit a long-term maintenance plan to be allowed, so requesting to be allowed by the commission and include access corridors for all dam maintenance needed. So, okay, then subsequent, the commission refined it even further. So they determined that no herbicides and fertilizers applied ever in any location of area 2. Then the area was divided into 4 subsections. In area 2A, no part of the dam structure, it's not part of the dam structure and proposed to be allowed to naturally revegetate with no mowing for future maintenance, and just letting it grow back. Then area 2B is explained that it's a critical part of the dam and must be fully maintained and kept free of obstructions. Failure of swale operation could result in dam overtopping and failure. Proposed to be allowed to mow 2 times every year with residential style mower. Area 2C, which is the central portion of the dam, and no woody vegetation should be allowed, though some vegetation needed for stabilization. They propose to be allowed to mow once every 2 years with residential style mow. And then area 2D, access route to the outlet structure used by the owner for maintenance of outlet to prevent clogging after storms. They propose to be allowed to mow 2 times every year with a residential style mower, noting that some existing trees on the dam may need to be removed, though it's not addressed as a part of this restoration plan. And the owner understands they would need a separate permit from the commission to pursue that tree removal. And the commission agreed to that proposal of the restoration plan for all of area 2 in the subsections in October 7th. Okay, and then area 3. They note that they planted about 20 planted burning bush plants in the outer 100-foot riverfront area, and there's 1 tree of heaven with an abandoned vehicle in this space. They also divided this area into subsections 3 this time. So for area 3A, they're going to remove all the burning bush and the tree of heaven, including the root balls, via a small backhoe. Then they would plant at least 21 native tree species in the same space shown on the submitted plan, though it was noted that some may fail due to crowding. Cover area, then they were going to cover the area with straw to sit and stabilize. For area 3B, they will remove the abandoned vehicle and clear all debris / rubbish as shown on the plan. Then retain existing vegetation and no further operations allowed into the future. And the last one's area 3C, where they propose no changes, allow them to have the gravel driveway and a portion of the structure to remain, no fertilizer herbicides in any area 3 section, and then monitor area 3A and 3B for 2 years with reports to Concom no later than November 1st, 2014 and November 1st, 2015. So the commission modified that request. They wanted them to add a white oak and red oak to the planting list for area 3, and plants should be 3 to 4, the plantings should be 3 to 4 feet tall. They wanted to add non-native, like monitoring and management with all future non-native invasive growths removed by hand and disposed of off the site. They wanted photo documents also required after trees installed with date stamp and submittal of invoices / equivalent for inventory of trees planted. And let's see, they wanted to require that the modify the plan to have reports must be submitted by October 1st of each year. After installation, trees shall be mulched with straw / wood chips, and no soil stockpiling is allowed. They want notification to the commission 48 hours prior to the start of work, and revised plan must be submitted to reflect these changes before then. So we have the revision from October 15th, 2013. And that was the last piece of it. And so then I kept reading through all the minutes to see which of those things happened. And let's see. I think, let me read it again where it left off.
My
Okay.
recollection is that the Area 3 stuff was never, maybe it was planted.
So
Maybe-
that's what I have here is that they got, the photos were submitted September 30th, 2014 of the site, received by the city clerk from Mr. Gall, with a letter stating that this was his report, the first report to the commission, as required for the 21 of the 25 planted trees. So he was explaining he planted 25 trees and 21 of them survived, and he replaced 4 if necessary to maintain uniform spacing. And so the commission received that information. And then they determined at the next meeting that replacing the 4 trees was not needed, as 21 trees was the requirement, and accepted the letter as the first compliance report.
What about the 12 trees that were supposed to go into area 3B?
Let's see, 3B.
I didn't hear you mention them, but they're in this October 15 revised planting or revised restoration report or plan.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't see that in my notes either. I don't know why. I must have missed that somehow, but in these notes, it only talks about those 21 trees. So I don't know what happened with that. And in this meeting from August, the commission did a site visit on August 23rd, 2014. And it was noted that most requirements for Area 3A and 3B have been implemented. Still require removal of non-native invasive species, knotweed and black locust, not fully removed before and regrown in since the mitigation was implemented, the plantings. So since the plantings, there was like invasives coming in that the commission wanted removed. And then there was a reminder that the second report was due. Oh, no, wait, sorry, that was before. They communicated all that to Gall, and then in October 1st, 2014, they had that report from him talking about the 21 plantings. So I'm not sure. And let's see, after that, another site visit was done on on May 18th, 2015. Site visit formed. They confirmed all trees in Area 3A established and viable, but knotweed and black locust and garlic mustard were found in Area 3A. And they determined they were going to send a follow-up letter to remove the invasives as required in the plan.
When was that?
That was in May 18th, 2015. And then, let's see, they did another site visit on September 21st with the Galls, confirmed Area 2 was being maintained appropriately. Area 3 observed stress woody vegetation of plantings, Commission requested Gall inventory and characterize the status of the plantings, noting saplings that die must be replaced. Area 1, bark mulch stockpile was observed in that area where there's not supposed to be any stockpiling within the riverfront area. And Commissioner Harwood noted second pile may now exist. And Commissioner Ryan said he was going to check to see if there's a second pile. And then there's all these things, let's see. There was a point where it was confirmed, the last thing that was confirmed was that the mulch pile got moved out of the RFA. But so it seemed like the last piece was this removal of invasives. Because for whatever reason, the commission accepted the plantings, it sounded like.
Yeah, this is May 2016. It says invasive species still need to be addressed, but trees have been planted and piles moved.
And there's no stockpiles in the RFA, so yeah. So I guess then now becomes the question to the commission, like, it's still your discretion of when you want to consider it resolved and what you want there to be resolved, you know, even regardless of everything that happened in the past, or, you know, in light of all that. So it's still your decision how you want to address it, but.
What were the invasive requirements? Was it in perpetuity? Is it defined at all?
I don't know if it's defined into the future. I want to say yes. Let me go right back up here because let's see. Installation. Reports for the plantings. Observation and management with all future non-native invasive growth removed by hand and disposed of offsite. So you could interpret that as being in perpetuity.
If the enforcement order is open still, which it is, then we should be able to do a site visit. So maybe the first step is just to get an understanding of what it looks like now. Confirm that there aren't any piles or any land use occurring in these areas that we're not supposed to. And just kind of get eyes on it.
Yeah.
See what the status is. Does that make sense to folks?
Sure.
And there are old photos in there in the file, so that could be helpful. And then the other piece that I'll need to do is just, you know, this was all with Bernie Gall in the past, and he's since passed away. So I have communication with Matt Gall. If he's the current owner, I got to figure out, double check that he is still the current property owner and see what the situation is with that. But then, yeah, I would reach out to them to do a site visit there and go from there.
Okay.
The other piece that I'm thinking of though is, do we need to wait until the snow is gone to, like, are we thinking maybe in the springtime?
Yeah, good point. Forgot that it's the middle of January. Yeah, let's put it on there.
Okay.
Because spring is when we would be able to get a sense of what's going on from the invasives perspective.
I mean, we could do both. I could do one now to see if there's any stockpiling and then,
I mean,
yeah, okay.
It's been
been
on
there
here
for so
forever,
many years,
yes.
there's no urgency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just wait and see it all at once. And it does look, oh, I thought these were actually labeled so we could see what trees were where, but, oh, yeah, they are. There's actually a detailed planting plan that says which trees were supposed to be where. So in theory, you should be able to figure out exactly which ones are still there, which may just be a point of curiosity at this point to see if they've survived since they only had 2 years of monitoring, but. Okay.
It should be pretty big by now.
Yeah, theoretically.
Cool.
It should have some good growth.
So that was an older one that's just also associated with 37 South. I don't know if it's helpful, but it was from like, I can't even remember what it is. At the time I was like, this doesn't seem, it wasn't part of the enforcement. It was like before. I think it was, they came for a permit like in 1995.
It's a delightful hand drawing. I don't know what all these little X's are.
I don't know.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Springtime. Any other enforcement updates?
I'm gonna leave now because I gotta.
Okay, thank you,
All
Jen.
right, see you.
Okay, let me just check here. The only other one is for, two things. So one for Loudville, item D. I got an email back from Dr. Hatch, and we've just been kind of trying to it's been a little bit of a phone tag situation. So trying to like get a phone call with her and go from there. So maybe she can do it, but it wasn't definite one way or the other, certainly. So, but that's hopeful. And then for E, 10 Industrial Parkway, Commissioner August had noted that she saw in the paper that it sounds like there is a new property owner now. They're in the process of, I think, trying to get a permit with the planning board, I think, or ZBA, I can't remember. But so we have that information. I just need to grab it from Jeff. And then still, that doesn't seem to change the plan. I'm going to go back in the spring to see how the fern plantings survive. But just wanted to give you that update.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Open space updates, anything on Ecclesdale West?
No, just waiting for the spring on that one.
All right, compliance updates, which other projects do we need to talk about?
Yes, we did Pump House, we did the gravel, we did Loudville. Oh yeah, so DPW bundled order. They'd like to request an extension for another 3 years. So
Which one is that?
this is should be item M. Item M. So yeah, I got a letter from the city engineer requesting it in advance of 30 days. He said that we found that it works well and is a useful document that has clarified regulatory requirements and improved communication. Let me know if we need to do anything from our end to have the existing document renewed by the commission. And we've done a number of projects under it. We can review them if you want, what the projects we did do that were covered under the bundled order. But
yeah, I would agree. It seems to work well. It's covered a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm definitely in support of extending it.
And have you liked that process of when they do have a project that seems to be covered under it, they come to us to get guidance on it?
Yep.
Then there's a question of if there's repeated things like the gravel road, they don't need to keep coming for the gravel road on River Street. They're redoing the gravel, but we've already established what that is. Okay. So ones that have already established, we can
So they
go with that.
will extend it for 3 years?
Correct.
Motion to extend the bundled notice for maintenance for 3 years.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Carr?
Aye.
August?
Aye.
Weeks?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
So moved.
Sorry, I'm just catching my notes here.
Sure.
Okay. And okay, we talked about 50 Florence Road. Yeah, I'm ready for general business if you guys are.
All right, meeting minutes from January 8th.
Yep, Deb was able to give me some corrections and I saw that you sent me some as well. So I can add those, but it sounded like it was all smaller typos. This version doesn't include those yet. But maybe it can still be accepted with those pending.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Minutes with submitted changes.
Yeah, second. Yeah.
All those in favor, Carr?
Aye.
August?
Aye.
Weeks?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next, only other general business thing, or there's two, but one is that I just wanted to make sure you all were aware and saw that other email that I sent. DEP proposed changes to regulations. If you're interested and you want to go to all these things, there's a lot of different things happening. Some of them have already happened to kind of help explain what it is. And then the bigger piece is that there's going to be a public comment period if people want to submit comments to DEP to try to shape those a little more. The most up and coming event that's happening is MACC is also going to hold a webinar to try to work their way and explain what these changes are. Just, I have like the summary that the state created. A big piece of it is not relevant to the commission. What?
That's this week, right?
Yep. So this Wednesday, they're going to be doing that event. They're just really good at kind of like explaining them in plain English, what these things would be. A big chunk of it is related to the land subject to coastal storm flowage, which we don't have any of that. So a big chunk of it isn't really gonna be relevant for our future permitting, but things that will certainly be relevant.
At least not for
Yeah.
a few decades.
Yeah, hopefully. There's some additional like resiliency provisions that might be relevant to us, even if it's not coastal, they still seem to apply. Probably the main one being they were gonna allow scientific test projects to gather information in wetland resource areas more easily if they were studying things about climate change. Maybe there could be something here, but I don't really know what that would be. But it doesn't seem to specifically say only coastal, so. And then streamline stormwater permitting for shared use paths on abandoned rail beds to support the state goal of reducing vehicle miles traveled. So those ones could certainly be relevant. And then the other big piece that definitely will be is updating stormwater standards. And so the whole overarching goal for these is to increase climate resilience. And so a big piece of this is that they are replacing the outdated precipitation data with the up-to-date data from the NOAA and 14 Atlas. And let's see, kind of some explanation of why they're doing that. They're requiring that systems are designed to handle extreme precipitation events rather than using the midpoint or average precipitation presented by NOAA Atlas 14. Mass DEP is proposing to require that precipitation amounts be 90% of the upper end of the range of historical precipitation, not the average. And then this is called the NOAA 14 Plus, and it's proposed to ensure that stormwater from most 80% storms will be adequately managed. This somewhat increased precipitation is based off of actual events, or based on actual events, and then reduce flooding, reduce pollution, and replenish groundwater and stream flow by requiring that stormwater systems be designed to move more stormwater into the ground, incentivize the use of nature and ecological processes to handle stormwater runoff to prevent flooding and polluting nearby waters. This will reduce the amount of pavement and pipes that will be less costly for developers. And the last one is to better align with the Environmental Protection Agency's requirements for stormwater management through the general permit for stormwater discharges from small municipal separate storm sewer systems in Massachusetts to protect Massachusetts waters from harmful storm pollutants. And I think they're gonna come out with a new handbook as well, a new stormwater handbook. So
Good.
It's good. It's detailed information. So going to that, there's an information session tomorrow at 1 p.m.
One last Thursday
Oh, did you?
night,
Oh, good.
But it was most of it, I sat through like an hour and a half of it, and it was almost all coastal.
That's a big bulk of it. Yeah.
And I just couldn't, like, I had already worked all day, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't.
It's a lot to sit through. Yeah.
The rest of it, so it would be helpful to come somehow.
Yep. I went to the one on the 18th. I was planning to go to the one tomorrow that they're also doing at 1 p.m. just to do it
Just
again.
get like the little bits that apply to us.
Yep. And then for the hearings, I will be participating in the hearings as well. And I'm on the board for MSMCP, which is a group for agents, but it's kind of like MECC, similar goals. And they'll probably have some kind of comment. And I can share it with you guys. You're going to see it. Maybe if you want to like endorse it, I don't really know. Or if you have your own comments, happy to receive them and bring them along and submit them for you. So however you want to do it, you're welcome to do that yourself as well.
It was interesting that they had updated the precipitation measurements, but not the ocean measurements. Like we're still using 35-year-old levels of ocean data.
Huh.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of comments that were already coming in at those meetings. So it's interesting to hear. But all that's supposed to say, I'll let you know when they like actually finally implement them. So, because this has been a really long time coming. So I don't know when they would actually come into effect. That's the bigger main piece for you all.
Yep.
So, but I wanted to give you a chance to comment if you wanted to.
How long are the webinar?
Oh, this one tomorrow, the one on Wednesday, it starts at 11:30 a.m. And I think it was going to go to 1. I think it's kind of long, if I remember correctly. It'll probably be recorded, hopefully,
is it just the same information that's been at the other two?
but presented through MACC. So it might be like explained in a different way, but the same, should be the same information. Yes. Yeah. And what was I going to say? There's all these other resources in that first email I sent you guys of like, you can just look at the text and you can compare it to the they have like redlined versions and then just a new version. If you just want to read the information, you can do that too. I'm happy to print any of that out and get that to
When do
anybody.
you
if they
have
want it.
that?
I sent you guys an email just about this but it was kind of a while ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. It was earlier this month, I think. And if you,
January 8th.
yeah, so that was all in there. I can send it again too if you want.
Okay.
But if you don't anticipate having many comments about it, there's going to be a lot of time to learn about it once we get the final version and they actually implement it, which I have no idea how long that timeline would be once this comment period is done. So. Yeah, so it's interesting, but I'll keep you all posted.
Thank you, Cassie.
Mhm.
Wetlands ordinance discussion. We are continuing to progress with the working group. We are meeting tomorrow evening at 6.
Mhm.
And nothing really more detailed to discuss than that. We haven't met since the last time we gave you an update, so nothing that we haven't already stated. I think that's it. Any other business?
No, I'm just curious on the wetlands ordinance discussion, not from a place of pressure, but I'm just wondering if there's any sense of how long it will take to come before this stuff. Like 6 months or 6 weeks,
My hope-
2 years, or?
I don't know if this makes sense to say, but my hope is now that taste stop is done and we're also like kind of taking care of all these other things on the agenda. It'll all have more and more time, to take it on. So, and the other thing I was working on is climate action plan, and that's really getting there too. So hopefully I can help in that regard, speed it along. But we definitely still have to meet and talk through the things too. So
We don't have a great answer for you.
yeah, we'll
Not
hopefully
2
get
years.
better. Yeah,
But
not too
we're
bad.
getting
Less than 2 years, that's an
Yeah.
answer. I'll take it.
All right, anything else?
For me.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Carr?
Aye.
August? Weeks?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Motion carries. It is 7:18. We are concluding this evening's meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission. Our next meeting will be February 12th at 6 p.m. Thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.